Well, hi there. So are you an investor or a trader? I decided I'd take a little walk here along the beach and ask you to just write in the comments a little bit about yourself and how you think about stocks, about how you invest, and what your mindset is, how you try to think about this stuff. So for example, are you the kind of person who's looking at maybe 5 different stocks or 7 stocks and you're trying to find the best few stocks to invest in? Or do you invest in like 20, 30, 40 different stocks? Or maybe you're an ETF investor or you invest in index funds. So be interesting to me to know who you are watching this video. So I hope you'll just put a couple words or just a few ticker symbols, whatever you want, in the comment section. That's how I kind of learn more about you, and it actually makes this whole process much more fun for me as a YouTube content creator, to know who's watching and what it is that kind of makes you vibe, makes you excited, why you do this, why you watch these videos, what it is you're trying to learn. For me, I will say something that I never expected a year or two ago when I started this channel, which is my way of thinking and learning about investing has changed a lot. Even just in the last, say, 6 months, when I started investing in small cap stocks. Because before this, I pretty much invested in the same stocks, it seems like, that everybody else looked at. You know, I think there's like a groupthink mentality where everyone's talking about Apple, Microsoft, Nvidia, Amazon, etc. And then you just start thinking about these large cap tech stocks and ways to invest in them either directly or through ETFs. And there are so many different ways to mix and match them, especially with ETF investing. But in the end, you're just investing in these huge multi-billion or trillion-dollar companies. And once you own enough of them, once you own, say, more than 5 or 7 of these stocks, your total returns are pretty much the same as the S&P 500. You're not going to beat it by a lot because these stocks are the S&P 500. So my investing changed a lot when I started focusing on small cap stocks. And this is an area of fascination for me because these are not as closely covered by analysts and by other investors. So I feel as though it's actually possible to learn stuff about these small companies and to find out which ones are actually succeeding. And not everybody knows, because not everybody does the research. Not everybody spends time. Not everybody calls up the company and asks them questions. And I've done that. And you could do that. It's not that hard to do. Look. Woo. I just found a yellow ball on the beach. So, also found a seashell. Look at this. Yes, I shouldn't be surprised. I'm along the sea, there's a seashell. So, you know, what I've done is back in September, I started investing in a portfolio of small cap stocks. And then a few months later in January, I focused further into just semiconductor stocks, mostly small cap. These portfolios have done really well. They're all in the positive, which is somewhat to be expected because we're in a strong market. But then on May the 1st, I invested in a 5-stock portfolio, which I affectionately call the Ando ETF. It's not really an ETF, it's fictional. But it's a 5-stock portfolio, and this portfolio has done phenomenally well. Better than any stock picks that I've made before, these 5 stocks. And there was a thought process that went in, but it wasn't all like rational thought. It wasn't all like sitting there reading boring stuff about companies. Some of the ideas for these companies came from people that I met on a walk and had a discussion with, and I got an idea. Some of them came from podcasts, some of them came from YouTube videos. Maybe one or two of them came from somebody watching my channel who brought up a company name. Oh, one of them came from looking at some other professional investor's portfolio and getting an idea. But the point is, this has been a really creative process. That's what I want to share with you. And I'm invested in these 5 stocks that a lot of people haven't heard of. Vistra Energy, Constellation Energy, Axome Therapeutics, Modine, and Eaton. 5 companies. A couple of them are pretty well known, I suppose. Some of them are very small. But the gist of this is the creative process that's gone into picking these stocks is really new for me. And the energy that I'm getting from this process is phenomenal. And I'm kind of taking off into a new direction with investing. And you know, a couple of weeks or a few months is too short a time frame to assess the success of a portfolio. But for example, with this Ando ETF, I decided to put in trailing stops, 20%. So if any of these stocks, which are doing pretty well, if any of them were for some reason or another to drop suddenly by 20% from their highs, they automatically become market orders to sell, and they're sold. I've never done this before, but I think it's a very smart approach to using a trading method which limits the downside, because I think one weakness that a lot of traders have, and I would say even investors, people who tend to want to hold for the long term, is they buy a stock and something changes, anything can happen, and the stock goes down 10%, 20%, 30%, 40%, 60%, 70%. I'm sure anybody watching this, if you've been investing for more than 2 or 3 years, you've probably invested in a stock that dropped that much. And there's a human problem. There's a human set of beliefs that can hurt you as an investor when this happens, because when you lose a lot in a stock, you start making up these stories like, well, it'll come back, or, you know, this is just happening because, and you make up this story. And in doing so, you kind of ignore all these other realities of what might be happening really, and you kind of let your emotions play into this story until now you're holding a stock that's dropped an incredible amount. It may come back in a few years, or it may never come back to where you bought it. So I'm putting some things in place to take the emotions out of investing, to limit the downside. And the experience is amazing, because having a plan going into a trade, having an idea of how to stop the loss, but also thinking about ways to lock in gains if that's something that I want to do. I haven't decided how this is going to work, but at some point I may start to decide when to sell some of these positions. So I'm not going to do a whole run through exactly of all of the stocks in the Ando portfolio, but I will say some of them as of today, May 13th, 2024, are up, 15 or 20%. And these are stocks that I bought on the 1st, so 12 days ago. Some of those days were weekends. So in a short period of time, I'm seeing feedback from the market. I haven't looked at what the market's delivered, but it's probably something like 3% over that time period. So to have a really powerful return, kind of inspiring. And I do have a question for you. I might ask this in a separate video, but if you've watched this far, you might have some feedback for me. And I really do value hearing from you about this. So what I'd like to know is, in some of the other YouTube video channels that you watch, do any of the YouTubers have things that they've set up that you particularly like? For example, because I'm thinking of ways to, change and improve my channel and make it a way that, you relate to it in a way that you might find even more fun. So some people have Patreon accounts where they set up some kind of a system where you can become a Patreon member, and then I can provide data, information, any kind of, I don't even know what these people are doing with their Patreons, but I know a lot of the YouTubers that I admire do set up Patreon. So tell me if you have any experience with these, and if you like them mostly, or if you hate them, just put it in the comments. Also, some people have Substacks where they write about their thoughts on different topics. So mine would obviously be about investing, small cap investing. I could even write about which stocks I'm thinking about investing in the future, which ticker symbols appeal to me, and how I might build out and add new stocks to the animal donut portfolio. So these are just some ideas that are coming across my radar, but if you have any feedback for me about stuff that you'd like to see in a channel, or ways that I could improve what I'm doing, I'd love to hear from you, and just let me know what you think, because there's only so much that I can figure out on my own, but I do want to continue to provide info that's useful. And I'm just gonna guess that some of you may be tuning in. I notice whenever I put ticker symbols or company specific stuff in the title of a video, I get a lot of viewers. So I think you're using YouTube like a search engine, like Google, for stocks that you're looking at. So it may be that a lot of you just want to know what stocks I'm buying, or get ideas for tickers to invest in. So let me know if that's it. I personally would find it much more interesting to know how an investor who's been doing this for a while and is finding success with allocating assets to stocks, how they make the decisions, how they choose which stocks make it into the portfolio. For example, with the Animal Donut ETF, I could have chosen from like 700 different stocks, 1,000 different stocks, small caps. I chose 5. But those 5 so far have proven to be either lucky or good. Maybe there was something that I was sensitive to in these stocks, in their charts, in the performance of these companies that I picked up on. And I'm, happy to talk about that either in a future YouTube video like this, but if you guys say, hey, you should do a Patreon, that would be cool, I would join that. Or if you say, yeah, do a Substack. I like to read Substack. I'm all ears. I'm listening. So I'm glad you took the time here to take a little walk with me. I hope you could hear this. It's not too windy. It's kind of beautiful. Happy you joined. And let me know what you think down in the comment section. Real nice spending time with you, and I will see you in the next video.